to go ahead and solve this for you. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is get rid of this 2 and put it over here. So that's always our first step. Our goal is to have 2 sides of the equation, and our letters are on one side of the equation and our numbers are on the other. So we have to get this 2 over here to make this side all numbers. So the only way to move a number or anything over to the other side is to do the opposite. So what are they doing to the 2? They're adding 2. So what's the opposite of adding 2?
Subtracting 2.
Mm-hmm. And then what you do to one side, you do to the other side of the equation. So if we subtract 2 from this side, we have to subtract 2 from this side. And then that cancels each other out on this side. So we can cross it out. And then what's left on this side of the equation? Negative 3x. And then what is 6 minus 2?
4.
Yep. And now to get this 3 away from the x, they're multiplying negative 3 to x. So we have to do the opposite. What is the opposite of?
Negative? Positive?
But what's the opposite of multiplying negative 3?
Oh. Dividing negative 3?
Yep. And what you do on one side, you do on the other. So what's left on this side is x, and then what's left on this side is 4/3, and it's negative. And that's an answer. We can have that answer. And we're going to put it into a mixed number, so it's negative 1 1/3. You with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if they ask you to graph it, what you're going to do is you're going to make an open circle, because it's not more than or equal to, it's just more than. Or if it's less than, you're still going to do an open circle. If it's this or this, you're going to fill the circle in and make it what's called a closed circle. So because it doesn't have the equal to on the bottom, you keep it an open circle, and then you make a number line. And we need to have a negative 1/3, negative 1 1/3 right under the circle. And then we're going to fill in some of the points on the number line. So 2 would be here, 0 would be here, 1 would be here. You with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So the last step is whatever direction the arrow is pointing, you're going to draw an arrow going that way. Like that. Now, that's if the x is on the right-hand side. If the x was on the left-hand side, then you would flip it around. But if the x is on the right-hand side, whatever direction your arrow is pointing is the direction that your arrow on your number line is going to be pointing. Okay, so that was a lot. What I want to explain to you what this means. What this means is when we have an x equals 1 1/3 or a negative 1 1/3, that means there's one answer to the problem. And that means x is just this number. When we have a more than or less than or a more than and equal to or a less than and equal to, it means that anything all the way up to infinity. So 1,000,000 could be the answer to this problem, and so could 0, and so could 1.
What does the underline mean?
This underline? Okay,
yeah.
So let's go over that. This means greater than, right? This means less than. This means greater than or equal to. So what that means is that the answer could be more than or equal to whatever number we're talking about. So suppose we got x equals negative 1 1/3. That means we still have our number line. We put in some values, And negative 1 1/3 is right here, right? We're going to close circle it. We're going to label it negative 1 1/3. And then we're going to do our arrow. So our arrow says that this number is included. That's why we close it off. It means that the answer could be negative 1 1/3. This one means it's more than negative 1 1/3. So that is not included in the answer, but it could be 1, it could be negative 1, it could be 0, it could be 20. Those are all answers to this problem. Now, for this one, this means that negative 1 1/3 is included, plus every other single number up to bazillions, right? Those all could be answers. And the negative 1 1/3 is included. So let's do, can you give me another one of those problems from your book?
Yeah. Another one is 9x minus 12 less than minus 20.
So not minus 20, but
negative 20?
Yes. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is deal with this right here. We always deal with the minus 12 or plus 12 or whatever the number is first. So we know there's two sides to the equation. Our goal is to get letters on this side and get numbers on this side. So to bring my 12 over here, what do I have to do, Jalen?
You have to wait to move your 12 to the number side?
To the number side.
Do you have to, like, do something with subtracting it?
So they're subtracting 12. So what do we have to do? There's only one.
We have to add 12.
Yeah. There's only one way to get something on the other side of the equation, and that is to do the opposite. So they're subtracting 12, we add 12, and then whatever we do on one side of the equation, we do on the other. So you should write this down. And then this gets canceled out. What's left on this side is 9x. And what's left on this side is negative 8. Because we remember that negative 20 plus 12, biggest integer wins the sign. The biggest integer is 20. So our answer is negative. And then I have a negative and a positive. Do you remember all of this?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we have a negative and a positive, we subtract the integer. So 20 minus 12 is 8. So now we have negative 8. But we're not done yet because we have a number on this side. They're multiplying by 9. So what do we have to do?
Divide by 9.
And then anything we do to one side, we do on the other. This cancels each other out. What's left on this side is x is less than negative 8/9. If we graph this out, we put a 0, a 1, negative 1, negative 2, a 1, and a 2. Where does negative 8/9 land on this number line, Jalen?
Negative 8/9 lands like in between the negative 1 and 0?
Yep. And it's almost 9/9, so we're going to put it right next to it. Now, do we have a closed circle or an open circle?
Open?
And why would it be open?
Because it's less than?
Yes, and there's no equal to, right? So we do not put fill in right here. So we label our number, which is negative 8/9. And then which way does my arrow go? Does it go to the left or does it go to the right?
To the right.
And why would it go to the right?
Because, well, I don't know. I forgot, but I just remember that you said it goes to the right.
It only goes to the right if that's how the arrow is pointing. So our arrow is pointing this way, so our arrow goes this way.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's do some more. What do we have?
Another one I have is, well, does one include, okay, yeah. 3x and then negative 15 equals negative 7.
So 3x minus 15, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's our first step?
First, you have to get the numbers and letters on 2 different sides.
Exactly. So what do I do?
So since it's negative 5, you have to do plus, no, yeah, you have to do plus, since it's negative 15, you have to do plus 15?
Yes. It's not negative 15, it's minus 15.
Minus 15.
Mm-hmm. And then what do I do?
Whatever you do on this side, you have to do to the other side.
Yep.
So then once you do that, and then you write, whatever, you write 15 on the other side too.
Add 15, yep.
And then you cross out the 15 and the 15 because that cancels it.
Yep.
And then for that, you do 15 minus 7? Or do you do 7 minus 15?
You tell me.
7 minus 15?
Okay, and what is that?
8.
And then what do I do?
And then once you do that, you have to for under the 15 you have to put like something like 0x.
Not 0x, so what's left on this side?
X? 3x?
Hmm?
So you write 3x under there.
So 3x equals 8. Now what do I do?
You put the greater sign on the 8.
So you told me it was equal to.
Oh.
Was it not equal?
No.
So what was the problem?
That I said equal to when it wasn't?
No, I mean, what was the problem? What was the original math problem?
Oh, it was 3x minus 15 equals negative 7.
Oh, okay. So you don't change it. If it starts out as equal, you keep it as equal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now, but we still have a problem. Our problem is that we have a number over here.
And then you have to make it into like a fraction or something, and the fraction would be 8 over 3.
Okay. So we have to, they're multiplying, so we have to divide. Anything we do to one side, we do to the other. This cancels each other out, and what's left on this side?
X.
And then we have 8/3, and now we have to change it into a mixed number.
So you would do, well, I know how to change things into a mixed number. I just don't know what the X is for the.
It's just X, but then how do you change 8/3 into a mixed number?
You do. You see how many times. You keep the denominator the same, and then You think of a common factor?
No. You say, how many times does 3 go into 8?
Uh,
How many
it goes
times?
2, which is x.
Yep. So that's your whole number. And then what's the remainder?
2.
And then we have our
We keep the
denominator.
denominator the same.
Mm-hmm. And this means that because it has an equal sign, the answer is 2 2/3, nothing else. It does not have multiple answers. It only has one because it's saying very clearly x is just equal to 2 2/3. Very different than this. X could be anything below this number. For this one, it's saying, nope, it's just this number right here. It's just 2 2/3.
Okay.
All right, give me some more. I will stop the video so you can watch it.